When Lost premiered in 2004, it didn't feel like a normal television series. It opened in chaos. A man wakes up in a jungle. He runs towards screaming. Wreckage is scattered across a beach. A jet engine explodes. Within minutes, the show establishes something important. This is not just a survival story. Each person on Oceanic Flight 815 arrives on the island carrying a past they cannot escape. The crash doesn't change who they are. It exposes it. At first, the island appears random. Strange sounds in the jungle, unexplained creatures, impossible events. But nothing on Lost is introduced without purpose. Every mystery is connected to a character. Every question is tied to a choice. What Lost asks its audience is simple but uncomfortable. Are our lives shaped by coincidence? Or are we moving towards something we don't yet understand? Over 6 seasons, the series slowly reveals that the island is not a prison. It is not a reward. It is a test. The people who survived the crash were not chosen because they were special. They were chosen because they were broken. This is the story of how they arrived, why they stayed, and what they were ultimately meant to protect. This is Lost, told accurately, clearly, and in the order it was always meant to be understood. Oceanic Flight 815 departs from Sydney, Australia, bound for Los Angeles. For most of the passengers, it is an ordinary flight. They board, they take their seats, and they expect to arrive without incident. 6 hours into the journey, the plane encounters severe turbulence. The cockpit loses communication. The aircraft breaks apart midair. The fuselage crashes onto an island in the South Pacific. 48 passengers survive. They emerge from the wreckage confused, injured, and scattered across a wide stretch of beach. Among the first to regain consciousness is Jack Shepard, a spinal surgeon from Los Angeles. Jack immediately shifts into crisis mode, treating wounds, organizing survivors, and attempting to establish order. From the beginning, Jack becomes the group's leader not by choice, but by necessity. Nearby is Kate Austin, who helps Jack with the injured. She does not reveal that she is a fugitive being transported by a U.S. Marshal. Charlie Pace, a former rock musician struggling with heroin addiction, searches desperately for his drugs among the wreckage. Hurley, overwhelmed but calm, begins helping where he can, despite carrying a belief that he is cursed. Saeed Jarrah, a former Iraqi Republican Guard soldier, assists with communications, attempting to repair the plane's transceiver. Sunhwa Kwan and Jin Soo Kwan, a married couple, struggle to communicate with the others due to a language barrier, hiding deeper problems in their relationship. And then there is John Locke. Locke appears calm, almost content. Unbeknownst to the others, Locke had been confined to a wheelchair before the crash. The island has restored his ability to walk. As night falls, panic begins to set in. The survivors hear loud, mechanical sounds coming from the jungle. Trees shake. Something large moves unseen. This establishes a critical idea early in the series. The island is not empty, and whatever is there does not reveal itself easily. Despite the fear, the survivors stay together, forming a temporary community out of necessity. Jack insists they focus on rescue. He organizes attempts to signal for help and treats the injured, but already divisions are forming between those who believe rescue is imminent and those who sense something is wrong. Saeed manages to activate the transceiver. Instead of contacting rescue, he intercepts a broadcast. It is a distress signal. It has been playing on a loop for 16 years. This confirms 2 things. They are not the first people on the island, and no one has responded to that signal. The realization shifts the group's understanding of their situation. Rescue is no longer guaranteed. In the days that follow, the survivors focus on basic survival. They ration food. They collect water. They attempt to organize responsibilities. Jack continues to try and maintain order, but leadership is not unanimous. Sawyer refuses to cooperate, hoarding supplies taken from the wreckage. Tensions grow. Kate, caught between Jack and Sawyer, becomes an essential bridge between the group's conflicting personalities. Locke begins teaching others how to hunt. Unlike Jack, Locke does not believe rescue should be the priority. He believes the island is offering them something they did not have before. When the survivors travel inland to locate the source of the transmission, they encounter the island's danger directly. The unseen force in the jungle attacks. The pilot of Flight 815 is killed, dragged into the trees. The threat is no longer abstract. Something powerful exists on the island. It cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be negotiated with. Fear spreads among the survivors. But Locke reacts differently. He smiles. This moment defines his character. Where others see danger, Locke sees purpose. By the end of the first phase of their time on the island, two paths are already clear. Jack believes their only goal should be to leave. Locke believes they were brought here for a reason. Neither man fully understands the island yet, but their conflict will shape everything that follows. This is not just a story of survival. It is the beginning of a long test, one that will challenge belief, identity, and choice. As days pass, survival becomes routine. But routine does not bring clarity. The island continues to reveal things that should not exist. While hunting in the jungle, John Locke discovers a buried metal structure. Only the top of it is visible. It is smooth, manufactured, and clearly not part of the natural environment. This becomes known as the hatch. At first, no one knows what it is or why it is there. Jack dismisses it as irrelevant. He remains focused on rescue and maintaining order. Locke, however, becomes fixated. To him, the hatch represents intention. Someone built it. Someone put it there for a reason. Locke devotes himself to opening the hatch. He sees it as proof that the island has a purpose, and that his arrival was not an accident. Jack resists this belief. He worries that the hatch is a distraction, a symbol of false hope that would divide the group. Their disagreement deepens. This is not just about a metal door. It is about how each man understands the world. Jack believes problems must be solved with logic and evidence. Locke believes meaning exists beyond explanation. The hatch eventually opens. Inside, the survivors find a ladder leading underground. At the bottom is a sealed door, concrete walls, and a functional living space. There is electricity. There is food. There is a computer terminal. On the terminal are 4 numbers, 4 to 8, 15 to 16, 23 to 42. A timer counts down from 108 minutes. When it reaches 0, alarm sound. The instruction is simple. Enter the numbers and reset the timer. No explanation is given. The survivors do not know what will happen if they fail. Inside the hatch, they meet Desmond Hume. Desmond has been alone there for 3 years. His job is to enter the numbers every 108 minutes. He does not know why the task exists, only that failing to do it once caused a catastrophic event that nearly destroyed the station. Desmond's presence confirms something important. This is not superstition. Something real happens when the timer expires. Through orientation films found in Hatch, the survivors learn about the Dharma Initiative. Dharma was a scientific research organization that arrived on the island in the 1970s. Their goal was to study a unique electromagnetic energy source beneath the island. The hatch, known as the Swan Station, was built to contain this energy. An accident occurred during construction. The energy became unstable. The timer was installed as a temporary solution. The initiative eventually collapsed, but the system remained. At first, the survivors treat the button as a scientific responsibility, but doubt begins to grow. What if it is meaningless? What if the task is psychological? Jack becomes increasingly skeptical. Locke becomes increasingly devoted. When Locke believed the button is a test of faith, Jack sees it as manipulation. This difference culminates in disaster. The button is not pressed. The hatch begins to shake. The energy beneath it destabilizes. Only at the last moment do they reset the system, barely preventing destruction. This confirms the truth. The button matters. Understanding the hatch does not bring peace. It creates dependence. Someone must always stay behind. Someone must always believe. The survivors are no longer just stranded. They are custodians of something dangerous. The island is no longer mysterious. It is unstable. And worse, they are not alone. Throughout this period, survivors begin disappearing. Children are taken. People are watched. The group learns they're being studied, just as Dharma once studied the island. The people responsible are called the others. They are not primitive. They live among the survivors in disguise. They observe. They wait. and they interfere only when necessary. By the end of this phase, the nature of loss changes permanently. This is no longer a survival story. It is a story about responsibility. The survivors are not trying to escape anymore. They are trying to understand what happens if they fail. The island has given them a role. Whether they accept it or resist it will define everything that follows. Long before the survivors understand the island understands them. From the beginning, they are being watched. The people observing them live on the island and refer to themselves as the others. They do not reveal themselves openly. They move quietly through the jungle, taking notes, setting traps, and blending in when necessary. Their goal is not violence. It is control. The others do not arrive after crash. They were already there. Some of them pose as survivors. Others hide among the jungle. The survivors begin noticing patterns. Whispers in the trees, missing people signs of surveillance. These events escalate from fear to confirmation when Ethan Rum attacks the camp. Ethan is not listed on the plane manifest. He is not a survivor. He is one of them. Ethan's objective is specific. He abducts Claire Littleton, who is pregnant, and Charlie Pace. Charlie escapes. Claire does not. When Claire is eventually returned, she has no memory of what happened. Her child is unharmed. This confirms something disturbing. The others are not random aggressors. They have criteria. They choose who to take. Another survivor, Michael Dawson, becomes obsessed with finding his kidnapped son, Walt. The others exploit this. They manipulate Michael into betraying the group. In exchange for Walt's safety, Michael is ordered to free a prisoner being held by the survivors. That prisoner is Henry Gale, or so he claims. Henry Gale introduces the most dangerous element yet. He is calm, polite, unassuming. He claims to be a balloonist who crash-landed on the island, but his story does not hold up. Saeed suspects the truth immediately. Jack is uncertain. Locke believes Henry is dangerous. Henry is eventually revealed to be Benjamin Linus, the leader of the others. Ben does not lead through strength. He leads through information. He understands the survivors' weaknesses better than they understand their own. He lies easily. He manipulates subtly. And he believes absolutely that the island must be protected. Ben does not see himself as a villain. He sees himself as a caretaker. Rather than attacking directly, Ben destabilizes the group from within. He creates doubt. He turns Jack against Locke. He exploits Kate's uncertainty. He isolates individuals and forces them to make impossible choices. This is how the others operate. They do not conquer. They divide. Through Ben, the survivors learn an important truth. The island has rules. Certain lines cannot be crossed. Certain people cannot be killed. At least not yet. Ben follows these rules, even when they work against him. He claims the island communicates with him. Whether that is true, or whether he is interpreting signs to suit his needs, remains unclear. Eventually, the survivors attempt to fight back. They capture Ben. They believe they have leverage. They are wrong. Even in prison, Ben controls the situation. He knows more than they do. He has already planned for every outcome. The survivors begin to realize the island is not divided into good people and bad people. It is divided into those who understand it and those who don't. By the end of this phase, the survivors are no longer reacting to the island. They are being challenged by it. Through Ben and the others, the island begins testing loyalty, belief, and sacrifice. And the test is only beginning. For most of their time on the island, the survivors believe escape is the goal. But when leaving finally becomes possible, it changes nothing the way they expect. Leaving the island is not freedom. It is separation. Contact with the outside world is reestablished when a freighter arrives offshore. The crew claims they are there to rescue the survivors. But very quickly, it becomes clear this is not true. The freighter is owned by Charles Widmore, a powerful industrialist with a long history tied to the island. Widmore does not want to save the survivors. He wants the island. The conflict is no longer limited to the survivors. It is part of a larger war. Charles Widmore and Benjamin Linus were once members of the same group. Both believe they have the right to control the island. Both believe the other is a threat. Their war brings outside forces onto the island, Forces that do not follow its rules. This destabilizes everything. The freighter crew's presence escalates the threat. Violence becomes unavoidable. Explosives are introduced. People are killed. For the first time, the island itself is in danger of destruction. Ben makes a decision. He believes the only way to protect the island is to remove it from the world entirely. Deep beneath the island is a frozen chamber containing a wheel. This mechanism allows the island to move through space. Ben turns the wheel. The island disappears. Those who remain experience violent disorientation. The survivors are no longer in a fixed location. Time becomes unstable. Not everyone stays. 6 survivors manage to escape the island. Jack Shepard, Kate Austin, Holly Reyes, Saeed Jarrah, Sunhwa Kwan, Aaron Littleton. They become known as the Oceanic Six. To protect those left behind, they agree to lie. They claim the rest of the passengers died in the crash. The truth is too dangerous. Off the island, nothing improves. Jack becomes unstable, haunted by guilt and purpose he cannot explain. Kate raises Aaron, struggling with her identity as both mother and fugitive. Holly believes he is still cursed. Saeed is recruited into assassinations tied to the Widmore-Ben conflict. Sun plans revenge. None of them find peace. John Locke leaves the island last. The island gives him one task: bring everyone back. Off the island, Locke fails. No one believes him. He is dismissed, ignored, and manipulated. Eventually, Locke is murdered. But even this is not the end. His body will return to the island, and his face will be used. Leaving the island reveals a fundamental truth. The island does not trap people. It completes them. Those who leave are broken without it. Those who remain are changed by it. Escape was never the solution. By the end of this phase, the survivors understand something they never wanted to accept. The island is not finished with them. And whether they want to return or not, they are going back. When Benjamin Linus turns a wheel beneath the island, the survivors who remain are not relocated. They are displaced. The island begins moving through time. Those left behind experience sudden flashes. The jungle changes. Structures appear and disappear. People vanish in front of one another. They are no longer in the present. They are being pushed backward and forward to the island's history. This instability is not random. The island is correcting itself. After turning the wheel, Ben leaves the island. Locke replaces him. The island demands that Locke become its leader. But Locke does not understand how. Time continues to fracture. People are dying from temporal displacement. The only solution is to return the wheel to its original position. Locke turns it. The time jump stop. But Locke is thrown off the island into the past. The survivors who remain are sent to the 1970s. They are discovered by the Dharma Initiative. Rather than being exposed, they are integrated. They take jobs. They wear uniforms. They live ordinary lives inside a system they already know will fail. It reveals a core truth of Lost. The survivors were always part of the island's past. They did not change history. They fulfilled it. Events they believed were mysteries were caused by their own presence. The time loop is closed. At the center of Dharma's failure is the incident. Dharma's drilling reaches the island's electromagnetic energy source. The survivors know this will cause catastrophe. Jack believes detonating a hydrogen bomb will prevent the crash of Oceanic Flight 815. He believes this will erase everything. Jack is no longer the man who wanted to leave. He now believes in destiny. He chooses to detonate the bomb, not to save the present, but to correct the past. The bomb explodes. The screen cuts to white. The detonation does not erase the timeline. It causes the incident. The energy is temporarily neutralized. Dharma installs a hatch. The timer is created. Everything happens exactly as it always did. Jack does not change the future. He ensures it. After the explosion, time stabilizes. The survivors are returned to the present, but something else returns with them. John Locke's body. The survivors finally understand the island's rules. Time cannot be changed. The past cannot be fixed. Whatever happened, happened, The only thing left is to decide what happens next. For most of its story, Lost keeps its central truth hidden. The island is not protecting itself. It is being protected. Jacob has lived on the island for centuries. His role is simple: to guard the island's energy. This energy is not a weapon. It is a source, something connected to life, death, and consciousness itself. If it is extinguished, the balance holding the world together collapses. Jacob believes humanity is worth saving, but he does not interfere directly. He brings people to the island and observes what they choose to do. Jacob's brother, the man in black, believes the opposite. He sees people as selfish, violent, and incapable of change. After attempting to leave the island, he is thrown into its energy. His body dies. What emerges is the smoke monster. He is trapped. He cannot leave the island in this form, and he wants nothing more than to escape. There are rules neither brother can break. They cannot kill each other directly. They cannot leave their roles. So they use people. Jacob brings candidates to replace him. The man in black manipulates people to kill Jacob. This conflict has repeated for centuries. The survivors of Oceanic Flight 815 are not random. They are candidates. Their names appear on Jacob's list. Each candidate represents a potential replacement, someone capable of protecting the island. They are chosen not because they are perfect, but because they are flawed. The man in black takes the form of John Locke. This is not resurrection. It is imitation. He uses Locke's face because it inspires trust. With it, he manipulates Ben Linus into killing Jacob. Jacob dies. The rules change. Ben kills Jacob believing it will give him control. It does not. Ben has been used, just as he used others. For the first time, he must confront the reality of his actions. With Jacob gone, the man in black can now act more freely, but he is still trapped. The island begins to weaken. Its protection is failing. The candidates must choose: run, hide, or take responsibility. Hurley becomes the moral center of the group. Jack accepts his role as a candidate. He stops resisting the island's purpose. For the first time, Jack is not trying to fix things. He is trying to let them be. The island has lost its protector. The final conflict is no longer about belief. It is about survival. If the man in black escapes, everything ends. The candidates have one last choice to make. The smoke monster, now fully unleashed, begins manipulating survivors. He exploits fears, weaknesses, and desires. Hurley struggles with guilt and responsibility. Jack wrestles with the weight of leadership. Kate must protect those she loves. He uses others as pawns. Ben Linus is forced into obedience. Even those who believe they have control realize they are trapped in a game they do not fully understand. Jack accepts the island's purpose. He understands that stopping the man in black may require sacrifice. Hurley, initially reluctant, embraces his role as a moral guide. Together, they plan to stop the man in black and restore balance. The candidates discover the island has a single weakness: the energy source beneath the island. The same source that created the hatch is both the island's heart and its anchor. Destroying it or misusing it could collapse everything. The man in black, in his arrogance, underestimates this fact. Ben Linus, once the master manipulator, finally understands the cost of his actions. He helps the survivors, not because he redeems himself entirely, but because he sees the consequences of failure. This is the first time Ben acts selflessly. The showdown occurs at the heart of the island. Jack faces the man in black directly. Hurley protects the remaining candidates. Kate, Sawyer, and others fight to survive against loyal followers of the man in black. Jack wounds the man in black. Hurley restrains him. And with the combined efforts of the candidates, the man in black is finally neutralized. Jack understands what must happen. He is mortally wounded in the process, but he succeeds in saving the island. Hurley is named the new protector. He becomes responsible for guarding the island, not through strength, but through wisdom and compassion. Jack dies peacefully, knowing the island is safe. The remaining survivors leave the island. Ben remains, learning humility and redemption. Hurley begins his role, assisted by Ben. Kate, Sawyer, and others return to their lives, forever changed by what they experienced. The island continues. Its mysteries remain, but its balance is restored. For now, the final conflict shows the central truth of Lost. The island is not evil. It is a test. It rewards sacrifice, humility, and responsibility. The man in black represents unchecked desire and manipulation. The candidates represent choice, morality, and purpose. And in the end, only those who understand the rules can survive and protect what must be preserved. Even after 6 seasons, Lost remains full of hidden details and subtle design choices. The mysterious numbers 48, 15, 16, 23, 42 appear everywhere, from a hatch to license plates, quietly reminding us that patterns on the island are never accidental. Jack Shepard's name was originally spelled Shepard, subtly reflecting his role as a leader, though the spelling was adjusted to avoid overt religious symbolism. The pilot episode remains one of the most expensive in television history, with a full-scale plane set, hundreds of extras, and a combination of practical effects and CGI to make the crash feel chaotic and real. The smoke monster, limited by early CGI technology, became iconic through its design, sound, and movement, relying on suggestion and tension more than visual spectacle. Jacob and the Man in Black were inspired by mythological dualities, faith versus skepticism, order versus chaos. But their story is intentionally vague, allowing viewers to interpret their motives through the experiences of survivors. Casting choices also shaped the series unexpectedly. Michael Emerson, originally intended for a minor role as Ben Linus, became central due to his performance. The Dharma Initiative, with its 1970s sets and props, was meticulously recreated to maintain historical authenticity even during time jumps. The flash sideways in the final season is not an alternate timeline, but shared afterlife, showing the characters reconciling before moving on. And even years after the series ended, fans continue to discover details in every frame. The placement of a number, a hatch, a glance, revealing the careful planning that made Lost more than a story about survival. It is a series that rewards close attention, discussion, and repeated viewing, and its mysteries continue to captivate audiences worldwide. Lost may have ended years ago, but its story, its mysteries, and its questions are still alive. Now it's your turn. Rewatch the moments you missed. Reconsider the choices the survivors made. Notice the small details, the numbers, the hatches, the glances that reveal more than words ever could. Think about what the island asks of its people and what it asks of us. To pay attention, to reflect, to question. If you're a fan of deep storytelling, share your thoughts below. Discuss your theories. Debate the mysteries. Engage with the story the way it was meant to be engaged, with curiosity and care. And if you haven't yet seen the series, or if it's been years, let this be the invitation to experience it fully, not just as a show, but as an exploration of human nature, choice, and connection. The island is waiting. Are you ready to uncover it?